First, just a little word about the Gospels, okay? The Gospels are four: Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, right? And the Matthew, Mark, and Luke are called synoptic Gospels, and they're called that because they have a number of the same stories, and they follow the kind of the same outline in some respects. Not exactly, but this story we just read in Mark on Sunday, and now we're reading it in Matthew. It's a little more detailed in Mark's Gospel. But so the Matthew, Mark, and Luke have a lot of the same events in them, and told from a slightly different perspective, from the memories and the experiences of the different evangelists that came to them. And then we have the Gospel of John, and John is different. John is the symbol of John is the eagle, and it's like it soars, and it's very kind of spiritual and mystical. And it has a series of long episodes in it, only a couple of which are present in the Gospels, the Synoptic Gospels. But today, I mentioned on Sunday, a couple Sundays ago, when we have the story of Jesus in the boat, this is not a day in the life of the apostles. This is a metaphor for life itself, right? We're in the boat with Jesus, and there are storms. And I was thinking about how this relates to the prophet Amos. And what does the prophet Amos says? You alone I have favored. Listen to that. You alone I have favored, talking to Israel, whom he is his firstborn son, whom he's chosen. You alone I have favored more than all the families of the earth. Therefore I will punish you. Did you see that? Did you get that? And here's the thing. We have to remember, God does not punish us. God does not correct us. God does not discipline us for the thrill of watching us suffer, any more than a loving parent would discipline their child just to inflict pain or difficulty on the child. You discipline children to train them. It's not about inflicting pain. It's about raising up and correcting and healing. And so our Lord is saying, I love you, I favor you, therefore I'm going to discipline you. And he goes on to say, essentially, and you're not going to listen to me. That's how hard-hearted you've become. And so the consequences of their sin and their hardness are going to continue to grow and mushroom and balloon until ultimately we have the Babylonian exile. And so I like to say, it's this, one of the things that I think about, sin has consequences. Now, I say those words, and part of me hesitates to say them, because how many times in my life have I had people come to me and have really misapplied this idea to their own life and say, I know God is punishing me because of something I did in high school. I know God is punishing me because of this, that, or the next thing. And again, we recognize that sin has consequences, but God is not vindictive. God disciplines the children he loves. Now, the reality is that we suffer sometimes from the consequences of our own sin. I'll just give you a quick example. Let's say you drink and drive, you get a DUI, you get fired from your job, and you get fined $1,000. You have suffered from the consequences of your sin, right? Let's say you DUI, you drink and drive, which is a horrible sin, and you hit and run somebody and you injure them and you drive off and you get away almost free, right? Then that person has suffered terribly from your sin. And so sin has consequences that sometimes are part of our lives and sometimes part of other people's lives, but God knows, right? And God, who is a loving Father, wants to